Head right. Darn right, head right. Let me get my sip. And you can get your head right sipping pleasure mug at bronzeserpentmedia.com. You get you one of these stylish mugs, man, in sipping style. All right, anyway, thank you guys for tuning in for another dose from TZL Un-Prescripted. Yeah, I mean, what a blessing that you guys would actually, you bored, it's Friday, it's too expensive to go outside. Too expensive to go outside, right? And you guys want to go ahead and hang out in TZL Unprescripted and get this dose. Thank you, man. That's a blessing to me indeed. And you know what? I would just like to bask in that blessing, but no, man. We got some bull chitlins that we got to swim in. Concerning this meme that I saw, and y'all, this ain't a new thing, and I've addressed it before. But we gonna do it again because, hey, I mean, this goes up and it gets like, what was it like, 1,000 like retweets or something like that? It's just all these, my Twitter account, I'm permanently suspended from Twitter. Yeah. Like this person can go on there and make up this nonsense about Jesus, but I can't say nothing. I can't have Twitter. I can't have the Twitter. No. Right? They don't want me on time. I don't cuss, man. I don't go. I mean, I guess because I don't, subscribe to, the all this race baiting stuff and all this left wing wokery and all these woke zombies and stuff like that, and in the Axine V and the Ovid K and all that sort of stuff, because I'm not on that wagon, and all this so-called social justice nonsense and whatever. I don't play it as well. Twitter's like, well, you can't be here then. All right. Well, so much for Black Lives Matter, you hypocrites. So speaking of which, Black Lives Mattering, or the nationality of Jesus mattering, we're going to talk about this meme right here. This thing. All right. So like I said, y'all, earlier, this isn't new thought, and I guess this person maybe is being celebrated for expressing this like this is some new thinking or something like that. Or maybe he just wants the applause line of replete because he knows that this is an applause line. Let's go with that. He knows that this stuff is an applause line, right? Great way to pander to your audience, and all that sort of stuff. And it really actually just, it keeps the church stagnant. Right? If y'all are even church at all, you guys are deceived. You're not really a church. So just so we're clear as mud. Let's start with it here. Jesus wasn't white. Duh. All right. Now, let me just skip forward a little bit because the first thing he says here is Jesus wasn't white, but he also says Jesus wasn't a Republican or a Democrat. So you give Jesus was this or that. How come you didn't give Jesus wasn't white or something else? Right? Why not that? Now, I captured this as a meme. Somebody had made this meme. And the thing is, this kind of thinking leads to this kind of ethnocentrism. Yeah. Right? So the person who saw this person's quote, Shane Claiborne, who saw this quote, decided that he would make a meme, and he put on there a Jesus who is black, right? Almost kind of looked like me back in the in my late 20s. Well, I had dreadlocks. I didn't. My hair wasn't, I didn't let the fro just grow out and relax. You know what I'm saying? I had I had the dreads. Kind of look. He's like, yeah, Jesus was a handsome man. Anyway, so Jesus wasn't white, and puts a picture of, I guess, Black Buddy Christ there, right? So is now would Shane? Would you agree with that? If Jesus wasn't white, then he must have been black. I mean, because what else could he have been? Why didn't you put the or thing? Where's the or thing at? Okay, so let's get down to it. Because Shane, who's gone to, I guess the colleges, and has accredited Christianity, if you will. And man, it's amazing, the time and money that he spent in the college just to come out so wrong. But you got this right here. Jesus wasn't white. But let's address the people who say, well, if he wasn't white, I guess he must have been black. Because you get a lot of folks out there want Jesus to be black. Well, the thing is, the Bible actually tells you what complexion Jesus was. That's right. The blueprint of Jesus is given. See, you have to read the whole Bible to get the picture of Christ and see who he is. You get a full profile of Jesus. Remember, y'all, we serve a just God. And a just God is going to make sure that when the Redeemer shows up, you can recognize him. You have no excuse to not know who he is. And the profile of Jesus is given to us. So when he steps on the scene, be like, oh, wait a minute, man. You got a lot of familiar traits going on. I think that's the Messiah right there. Right? So Jesus being the second Adam, the complexion of Jesus is given in the creation of man itself. The name Adam, referring to mankind or man, also there's variations of his name. Adam, Adom, Edom, right? These are variations of his name, and they all implicate a man, but it also represents blood, represents ground, represents worker, more so implicated in the name Edom. Edom's name means working man, right? And when Adam was made, he was put to work, all right? So, but also included in the meaning of Adam's name is ruddy colored. That was Adam's complexion. He was ruddy in color, all right? Jesus being the second Adam, right? So chances are really good that Jesus was ruddy colored, but Jesus is also called the son of David, right? And David, his complexion was also given. His complexion was ruddy colored. Okay? So the profile of Jesus is given in the archetypes of Jesus. You got Adam, you got David, you got Moses, you got Samson, you got Absalom, you've got these pictures of Christ, and you got Joseph. These people were battle built, right? You got a lot of the pious, the real lovey-dovey type Christians, who want to try to make Jesus all meek and effeminate, and he was so humble, and he wasn't attractive, and we should just love him just because he was just such a sweet, hippie and whichever, right? They like to go by verses like I think it was Isaiah, right? Say that he wasn't much to look at and they despised him. That doesn't mean anything. Of course, the haters didn't find him anything to look at and they despised him. Of course they did, right? Yes, Jesus was nothing. He was no majesty to behold according to the haters. But the thing is, y'all, Jesus' profile is given. Moses was described as being born beautiful. Moses was battle built into his 80s. He carried stone tablets down a mountain. Moses was built and described as beautiful. David was described as beautiful, right? Basically, who else? Joseph, described as beautiful. Samson was built, took on 1,000 men, right? These are all pictures of Christ. You're given Jesus' profile. Absalom had long hair. Jesus was a long-haired, built warrior, right? That's what Jesus looked like. Oh, and by the way, he was ruddy colored. He wasn't white. He wasn't black. So I'm just saying, if you're going to say that Jesus wasn't white, then what was he? Because you're leaving room for people to fill in the blanks on their own. You're being a stumbling block to people, dude. That's why. You are causing people to violate the commandment to make a God in their own image. When people are assigned, they're looking at Jesus and their self-esteem is somehow stoked by assuming that he's black, as if their redemption and their royalty and their salvation is in their skin color. That's not it. I think, and y'all, I hear a lot of people say, it doesn't matter what Jesus's color was. I don't care. As long as he did this and that, and none of that stuff should matter. That is sacrilege. All right. That's heresy. Whatever word you want to use. Blasphemy. It's all that. You can't say that the nationality of Jesus doesn't matter, because once again, it leaves people to be able to fill in the blanks. You have to recognize that Jesus was a Jew. Our high priest and king was a Jew. Nothing else but that. And if you try to fill in the blanks or try to say that doesn't matter, then you are basically blowing snot on the painstaking work that God did, the ingenious strategy that the Lord did to reveal the Redeemer through the Jews. You look at the history of the Bible, and that's why, y'all, that's why it's so important, y'all. I'm going to remind y'all again. Don't let anybody try to tell you that we're not a Judeo-Christian nation. We don't need the Judeo part of it. We just need to recognize we're a Christian nation. Even stuff like that, y'all, is leading us away from Christ. Because what you're saying, if you say that we're not a Judeo-Christian nation, you are separating that Jewish heritage from Jesus. You can't do that. Jesus died King of the Jews. All right. He lived King of the Jews. Don't try to take that out of it. Don't try to say it doesn't matter. It's not important. Yes, it is. OK, so let's move on. I might circle back to that. I don't know. Chew up on that a little bit more. So let's see. He goes on to say, where my thing at? He goes on to say that he didn't speak English. So what the crap kind of point is that? All right. OK, yeah. Jesus didn't speak English. But that same Jesus that you're saying didn't speak English. Jesus is the one, you know, in the faith in him. Here comes the Holy Spirit, and it's going to come like tongues of fire. Right. And now saying that Jesus didn't speak English, like I said, is just as divisive as anything else. It's polarizing. And it's just race baiting. But I want to reflect on this. In the Pentecost, when they started speaking the tongues, right? And speaking in tongues isn't shabba, blah, 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 blah. That's not what speaking in tongues is. Okay? Speaking in tongues is the miracle of actually being able to speak a national language that you've never known. And on top of that, somebody has to be able to interpret and say, yes, this person is legitimately speaking another language. And yes, what this person is saying is squaring up with scripture. They are speaking the truth and revealing who God has always been. That is speaking in tongues. Any pagan can speak in tongues. Any pagan can go into a trance and be like, anybody can do that. And they do. Exactly. Right. So don't confuse speaking in tongues, you know, with some sort of gibberish. It's not. OK, you have to actually be speaking a national language. That's the miracle of it. Anybody can just go, blah, blah, blah. That's not a miracle. OK, but that being said, let's read it. Now, there were dwellings in Jerusalem, God-fearing Jews from every nation under heaven. And when this sound rang out, a crowd came together in bewilderment because each one heard them speaking in his own language. Astounded and amazed, they asked, are not these men who are speaking Galileans? How is it that each of us hears him in his own native language? Parthians, Medes, Elamites, residents of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt and parts of Libya near Cyrene, visitors from Rome, both Jews and converts of Judaism, Cretans and Arabs. We hear them declaring the wonders of God in our own tongues. Astounded and prevailed, they asked one another, what does this mean? But others mocked and said, they drunk on that new wine. Okay, so God is a just God, man. And to say that Jesus didn't speak English, Jesus spoke to everybody plainly, baby. All right, because God is a just God, and he's not going to give us some writ that we can't understand. All right. God made sure that everybody can understand it. He's not going to judge us. And we can't be like, well, you know, and to my Hebrew brothers and sisters who be like, well, you obviously don't speak Hebrew, so do you know what you're talking about? Then if you think that, then you do not serve a just God. That you think that you can hold over our heads that we don't speak Hebrew and therefore we can't understand. Well, God's going to and God is going to judge us over something that we can't understand. Man, don't play that. Don't try to pull the Hebrew card on us. You know I love my Jewish brothers and sisters, man, but no, that ain't gonna work. So Jesus is trying to say that Jesus didn't speak English. That's what kind of point is that? That's some self-righteous, sanctimonious, race-baiting, woke nonsense.
Couldn't the Greeks pull that part on us?
Absolutely, anybody can. Blacks do it. You don't know what it's like to be black. They say, yeah, as if we're the only people who've ever experienced oppression and slavery. No, that's been going on for a long time. A lot of people can actually, you know, can relate, believe it or not, right? But we want to hold the corner on being, you know, the most butthurt about oppression than anybody else on the planet, right? We hold the corner. That's our superlative, right? Superlative butthurt in the black community, right? When white people so mean to us, okay? Anyway, so let's see. He goes on to say that he wasn't a Republican or a Democrat. Oh, that gets the big applause lines on that one. I even see conservative pastors, trying to get that, some applause from their congregation. Jesus wasn't a Republican or a Democrat. He's above our politics and whatever, right? God is above politics. What kind of crap is that? God is the first policy writer. Yes, God is actually authored how policy works, right? His policy is perfect. Ours are perverted compared to his. But to say that God is above politics is like, no, he's a policy writer himself. All right. But to say that God wasn't a Republican or a Democrat. OK, I'll say this. I'll agree with him wholeheartedly on this one, on half of his quote. All right. And he's not the only person to say this. He's just biting, a whole bunch of pastors' rhymes. And they, like I said, they say this stuff for applause lines, man. And they do it to pander to their audience. Yeah, exactly. That's why they do it. And the ones who usually applaud the biggest for this is the Democrats. Oh, that's right. That's right. They love that. And the Republicans be like, oh, yeah, we're not all about politics either. So they clap along. They give the golfers clap with it. But the Democrats clap the biggest for it because they definitely don't want Jesus to be seen as a Republican. But I can easily tell you why Jesus was not a Democrat. Okay, Democrat, basically, when you break down the word Democrat, you are basically saying the population, the populace. Right? Demos, right? The populace. All right. So when you're talking about a Democrat, you're basically talking about what's popular. You are going to vote. The popular vote is what wins the day. All right. And in a democracy, you don't really want that. As the saying goes, it's two wolves and a sheep voting on who's going to be dinner. Yeah. All right. That's what a democracy leads to. We are a republic for a reason, but I'll get to that in a second. Jesus was definitely not a democracy because you know what? When it comes to Jesus pulling the trigger on all this sort of stuff, you think our vote's going to matter? Jesus ain't going to be listening to our self-righteous, wicked-hearted votes. He ain't going to have that. Jesus, right? The last time they took a vote on Jesus, they released Barabbas and they hung him on a cross. So no, Jesus isn't really big on democracy. All right. No, Jesus is not a Democrat. Jesus is not about, hey, why don't you guys have a vote to see who can covet people's stuff the most? Are you guys OK with your stuff being coveted and then getting a vote that says, yes, people can go ahead and covet and steal your stuff by state mandate? Are you OK with that? No, he's not. Because if you leave it to democracy, people will violate every one of his commandments. And that's what people are trying to do right now. Jesus is not interested in being a democracy, and he is not interested in Democrats. Oh, I mean, of course, if they want to repent, yes, he's totally interested. But as you can see, Democrats have a real problem with God, and they don't like it that our rights are God-given, and they want the power to be able to vote what he has decreed away. That's who Democrats are. OK, so no, Jesus is absolutely not a Democrat. However, much more Republican. What is it that we in this republic, y'all, we have rights that are fixed and certain. These rights are God-given. Okay, so when you have a republic, you basically have a nation that is under the rule of law. These laws are fixed and set. You don't vote them away. They are certain, right? And our rights are recognized as God-given, and they are fixed and certain. That is the rule. That is the rule of law. That is the law that we live under. Okay, well, as Christians, we recognize that the law isn't a what. The law is a who. Jesus is our law. Okay? He is the law incarnate. He is our law, and that is the law that we live under. Guess what that is? Republican. Okay? Now, in a republic, you have representation. You have representatives who maintain the law, right? Well, when you have a representative form of government, who is Jesus? Jesus represents God to us, and he represents us to God. He is our highest representative, and he is the law. What is that? Republican. Okay, so when you got these people out there who ain't thinking because they don't read this thing, they just sit there and listen to somebody get up there and make a bunch of sanctimonious claims, claiming to be a Christian, looking for their applause line because somebody tickled their ears and stoked their self-righteousness. That ain't church, baby. So you're creating some sort of idol, man. You know, and in doing so, you're basically creating an idol of yourself for the people to look up to. All right. So but you know, whichever, man. It's sad that people go for this stuff. Moving on to he carried a cross, not a gun. That's right, man. Yeah. And here's the deal. Jesus carrying a cross, being the only one who could take on death. All right. Jesus had to meet death to beat death. All right. This was a battle that could not be won in terms of death itself. But remember, Jesus was the son of David. All right. And Jesus didn't go up against Goliath with a cross. He was sent by God to go upside Goliath's head with a rock. All right. So when Moses, you know, when they decided they would go ahead and build that golden calf, God didn't tell Moses, hey, man, I want you to get your posse ready and I want you to go back and forth with a cross. No, put them to the sword. When Jesus was arrested, all his disciples were strapped and they was ready to fight, baby. They was ready to get into a knife fight. All right. And not only that, Jesus said, man, I got 12 legions of angels, man. And the angels ain't carrying crosses, man. They got flaming swords. Yeah, Jesus, no, he doesn't carry a gun. He carries a flipping flamethrower. If you recognize that Jesus is God, right? Yo, Aaron, hey, man, what are your sons doing up in my tent, bringing me some strange fire? Let me show you some real fire. God busted out his flamethrower. Busted out the flamethrower when it came to Sodom and Gomorrah. He didn't drop a cross on them. Right? So you trying to make Jesus out to be this weenie, man. He's soft and squishy and no. Now, is Jesus all about love? Yes. Love, compassion, commitment. Arms wide open to embrace those who understand that the gate and the path is narrow. The path is narrow, but his arms are wide. If you understand and you respect who he is, yes, and his arms are wide for that. He'll hold you close, man. Hold you closer to what's up, homie? Like John, right? So it's like, but this effeminate Jesus, as feminism and effeminate males are taking over our country because people are trying to use Jesus as some sort of beacon for that, right? He carried a cross. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Right? But Jesus also said, sell your cloak, buy a sword. I want you armed. I'm not giving you a mandate to be pushovers. We're in a war. I got my soldiers. I have my soldiers who are commissioned to take this kind of abuse. We had to do that. That was us. That was for us to do, to show that there was no evil. We committed no evil. We were not a threat to these people. They came and they abused us for no reason. Let the record show that these men that I had called on, these men, the prophets that were before them, did nothing that warranted the hostility that came to them. Let the record show. Okay, that's why they were subject to that. That was their commission. Our commission is not to allow ourselves to be abused, because if we let the world just run over us, how are we going to be free to preach the gospel? Yes. What, you think that we just supposed to be like, civilly obedient, stuff like that? Even the disciples conducted civil disobedience. Mm-hmm. You ain't allowed to preach here. Well, they did anyway. They went to jail, right? And they weren't just supposed to be like, the angel came in and let them out. Yeah. All right? God's he's going to commission to do certain things. John the Baptist, unfortunately, he didn't get the jailbreak. He died in prison, right? So you can't just assume that, you guys you isolate scriptures and don't do full biblical context. You can't, you sacrifice common sense for compassion and only lean for compassion because it stokes your self-righteousness. This is not biblical. It brings God no glory. All right. And basically what you're doing is you're choking off the ability to tell the truth of the word, and the godless and lawlessness is taking over, and you're helping them do it. Right. You're wolves in sheep's clothing. Absolutely. OK, so the American flag is not a Christian symbol. Yeah. Now, and you know what? I understand why some people say this, because you do got people out there, man. Heck yeah, dude. You got people out there who idolize the flag. They do, right? The American flag is an idol to them. I absolutely agree with that. Okay, and it's a shame, right? But here's the thing. The American flag is a symbol that recognizes a nation that acknowledges that man's rights are God-given. That is what the American flag represents. Okay, that's what it's for. Now, people abuse what the flag represents and try to make it, something to represent whatever in their selfish pursuits, try to make it represent whatever they want it to represent. It doesn't. Okay, people take these things out on the flag. Well, American flag, there's all this oppression and all that sort of stuff. No. The American flag does not stand for oppression. The American flag stands for a nation that acknowledges that man's rights are God-given. Okay, look at the very first commandment. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, the house of slavery. God tells you what Egypt means. The word Egypt means bondage, slavery, oppression. Okay, in this nation, we recognize that God as the one who gave us our rights, and it is against the law to be oppressed. Slavery was not meant to be legal here. Okay, people abused the Constitution, twisted it, misinterpreted it to make it mean something else. That simply proves it. Like I told y'all a long time ago, it's proven that our Constitution does not condone slavery because the Democrats made their own Constitution to contrast our Constitution. They made the Constitution of the Confederate States, and they put in it clear language provisions to enslave the Negro. Our Constitution doesn't do that. That's why the Democrats wrote their own. Okay, so in this nation, that American flag, Old Glory, no, is it a Christian symbol per se? But it is a symbol that recognizes that, for the recognition that this is a nation that acknowledges that man's rights are God-given. Okay, so then we got the national anthem is not a worship song. And once again, yes, I agree that people they treat it like that. Some people do need to hear that. I agree with you. Okay, but it's not a worship song in the way that you're trying to make it. Because you do have a lot of people out there. The reason why we revere the song so much is because we are talking about a nation and a flag where we recognize the God-given rights of man. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong, man, because I do know that there are people who have more, people out there talking about, America, they have more affection for the country. And they're as bad as liberals the environmentalists, right? Who want to save the planet and all this sort of stuff. There you got the save the planet people and you got the save America people. They're both the same. Okay, it doesn't go well because both of them worship the creation, not the creator. Okay, you got people to save the planet people. They love the planet. God is, some of them even, and you have some of them who claim to believe in God, but they love the creation more. And it's the same thing with these patriots out there, who love the country so much. They love the country more than the one who blessed them with it. Yeah. Right. So, and both of them don't lead to good. That's why you're losing your country now. All right. Because you love the country more. If you don't talk about the Constitution, it's the Constitution. They always talk. They never talk about the Bible. Right. Our actual Constitution. All right. This is my Constitution right here. Right. The word of the living God, who is actually the living Constitution himself. But we have his word. Amen. All right. Codified in here.
We have a good comment here. Ray G. The flag also holds that those who sacrificed for it also sacrificed for God's glory to protect the weak and the poor. When I served, God's glory was shown through the sacrifice of soldiers. Absolutely, absolutely. And it's like one of those things that reminds me, because you have some soldiers, they get cynical, man, and I understand. You get some, and thank you for doing your part to protect our God-given republic, man. But you have those out there. They see war and they get cynical and say, what kind of, where is God? Where is God? This God-forsaken place. I'll tell you where God is. God came through you. That's where he is. He came through you to help end oppression here. Remember, y'all, the first commandment, oppression is against the law. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Oppression is illegal, period. Right? So you were there, representing the Lord and helping to liberate people. That's where God was.
Now, when God, if you're saying, if you're seeing that stuff take place, yeah, you're right. People forsake God or were given over to people who forsake God. That's who ruled over them. And you were sent in to change that. Okay? So, right, the American flag, yes, it's not a symbol. It's not a symbol of worship. If anything, it's a symbol of reminding of gratitude. Be thankful that we have a nation that acknowledges that man's rights are God-given. Okay? And who's trying to take that away from us? Democrats, because they don't want God to be the grantor of rights. They want to be the grantor of rights or the revoker of rights. And history has shown us that's what they do. All right. They're still doing it to this very day. Let me see. So we had what was that? The national anthems. Okay. Got that. The national anthem is not a worship. Oh yeah. We covered that, right? Did I take on that one? I'm sorry. I get sidetracked, man. I get sidetracked. The national anthem. We just covered that one. Okay. National anthem. Okay. Let's move on from the national anthem. Last thing he says is the Bible doesn't say God bless America. It says for God so loved the world. Man, more self-righteous stroking for applause, man. Okay. The Bible doesn't say God bless America. It says that, yeah, but the Bible also says blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Okay. We're one nation under God. Our national motto is in God we trust. Okay. Now, unfortunately, and this includes you, Shane, you have a twisted view of who Jesus is. And because of things like that, more and more, we're losing God being our God. Our God is the God of Israel. And anybody who wants to be, and the Old Testament even tells you, the foreigner can come in and they can make God their God. You want to live under the law of God, then you are his people too. We are grafted in. And the law has come in the person of Jesus Christ. We accept him as our high priest and king and recognize him as the living Torah. All right. So that being said, as a Christian nation, kingdom kin up in here, right? We are an annex of the kingdom. Those of us who living in this territory called America, as long as we are as we uphold that we are Christians and we worship Yeshua, blessed is the nation, okay, whose God is the Lord. So you're trying to say that, America can't enjoy wanting the blessings of God. And more importantly, we need to be trying to bless God. And this kind of crap right here don't bless God. It just doesn't. All right. It's some nonsense that is not reflective of him at all. All right. So we want to be folks who bless God. Read for who he says he is, not for who we want to try to imagine him to be. And he's so worth loving just for who he says he is, not for what we want to make up, to make ourselves look like good people. Right. Oh, everybody else, you're so bad because you're this and you're that. It's like, no, man. All of our righteousness is but filthy rags. And this is a filthy rag right here. Right? This is some self-righteous nonsense. This is something the Lord would say, yeah, this is what you came up out of your ideal of righteousness, and it ain't nothing but a filthy rag, baby. All right, so yeah. Oh, God, it doesn't say God bless. and like I said, man, I hear you, man, because you got people out there who in their pride, not in their gratitude. And like I said, in this, man, I agree with you. But your motive in this is wrong. The motive that you have of this is perverted. All right. You do have people out there. God bless America. They got more affection for the country than they do for God himself. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's a shame. They'll pay their lip service to God and use him as some sort of validator for their patriotism. That's really what it comes down to. OK, and that's cheap, man. That's cheap, man. So like I said, if people have more faith in this, than they do in, their Constitution, or paid more attention to what God says rather than, knocking on, so like they'll go out there and knock on doors for politicians. Oh, we want to get this person elected. They won't knock on the door for Jesus, though. Right? They won't do that. So, but, they for some reason, they think that they're going to get some sort of political messiah. Right? Government's not the answer. Government's the problem as they go knocking on doors looking for a politician to save them. It doesn't make any sense. All right. So anyway, y'all, I just thought I would share that with you on a Friday night. What's it? I'll quit flat.
Thank you for destroying that meme.
We got Thomasville? Yeah, Thomasville. Oh man, Thomas.
Oh, no.
Oh yes, bro. While I'm reading this stuff, I can't follow the three because I got derailed really easy, right? And so I try to catch up with y'all at the end of it. And my wife didn't tell me until after we had closed out, man, that you came on in there. He said, what was we talking about? What was that one transvestite man who was in church? And we had all the memes there, including like what, fisting. This is what's taking over in our church, y'all. This is it's spreading, right? This is being all accepting and stuff like that. And Thomas came in there calling, what do you call it? Knuckle butter. We need to talk, man. Not about that, but I'm gonna dig myself a hole. Why do you want to talk about this? No, it's
Explain that you were taking a sip of water when
man, that water shot out of my nose, cuz it did, man. I just imagine I shouldn't imagine, Lord, clear my mind. Free my mind from these unclean thoughts. Because it's like, I just imagine like him having a friend, man, and he's got a tattoo on the side of his arm and he calls himself, hi, my name is Butter Knuckles. And it's like, you want to play, you want to fool around? It's like, bro, that's gross. That's gross. You got to laugh at this stuff, man, because if not, you'll cry. So anyway, let me see, have you learned about it? I'll try to check out some of the memes that, or not memes, but some of the comments, man, so I can learn from y'all. Anybody like they just let me do all the talking tonight?
You know what was interesting is Jer said that he hears commentators talk about the Bible all the time and the Lord. And I put in the chat, I rarely hear that. I usually hear conservatives who are secular. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I hear conservatives go in and will read things from the Bible also, and then turn around and talk like they're in a bar, right? It's like, look, a lot of these people are using profanity to sell their product. Their profanity is more of a premiere to them than the gospel itself. If you actually have the gospel and you have faith in the gospel, then just use that. That is the strength of the word that you need. But these people, they think that the power in their speech comes from profanity, strong language, if you will, adult language. Yeah. Okay. No, it's not that. It's like, so it kind of cancels itself out. So you do have people out there who may, they may use the word of God here and there to, I want to remind people that I believe in God, but then turn around and say some other stuff. And the bottom, and also the thing is, what's clear is still the thing that they're most focused on is still the politics and conservatism. Okay, it's like this. Here's their politics. Here's their conservative stance, right? And it's kind of like, okay, we have kind of Christianity that kind of like, it addresses that, right? Rather than actually being where it's like the word is first. And by the word, that is our foundation and our filter by anything else that we espouse. You see what I'm saying? So it's like kind of like the role is reversed. Yeah. And I mean, I've even had people tell me, it's like, look, man, I may be a Christian, but first things first, we have to have the politics up there, right? Yeah. People that people, big businesses, that's where they're at, right? Businesses, they'll tell, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, but the conservatism and the politics, that's what we lead with, and we kind of keep the Christianity thing back here, all right? So that's what we're dealing with, y'all, and
that's not good for the country. It's
not good for the country. It just isn't. All right.
It's not working so far.
Right. And y'all, and I'll tell you what, off camera, I can be a bit of a potty mouth. I'm not, pleased with myself as far as that goes. But, sometimes you joking around and sometimes them bombs, they slip it. Right. But one thing God help me is what I do not want to do. And I trust in the Lord to hold me to this is I don't want to profit off of it. I'm not going to get on camera, get to cursing and swearing and stuff like that, knowing that y'all's kids might be listening and stuff. We can't be complaining about how profane and twisted the country is, but telling ourselves that it's okay if we curse in front of children, right? As they grow up. And the thing is, y'all, kids curse more than adults do.
And that's That's a shame on us.
Right? And we call it adult language. Right? We call cursing adult language. Children curse more than we do. All right? When I was a kid, oh man. Woo!
That's because we have no leadership. We have no fathers anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but even fathers that were there teaching their kids to curse and all that sort of stuff. That's my, you know, and they'll curse in front of their kids and think that it'll be okay. Right? Send them kids off to college, and before you know it, your kid is like smoking and drinking and probably going to end up raping somebody. You know, these liberals, man, they're so worried about, you know, rape and stuff like that. Where do you think these people are doing it? At these colleges where you're teaching them that they're so entitled. Right? That's where it's happening, you know. So at any rate, yeah, what was I talking about? Let me get a sip of my hair.
Ray G says, time to sleep here. I'll keep up with y'all for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Becoming blessed by the knowledge for the new chapter in cybersecurity, and I'm blessed to see y'all's shadow banning being removed. About that.
Right on, man. Slowly but sure. Hey, blessed that you saw it. Blessed that it resonates with you. You know, I don't want to get to crying about, you know, my only like less than 1% of my audience actually sees, you know, out of 73,000 people. But you guys know the story. And but hey, I'm blessed that you guys are here, and you know, I hope it resonates with you. So, at any rate, y'all, we gonna call it a night. Thank you guys so much for coming in and hanging with me. I hope that you guys should find that Shane. What's his name? Right? Shane Puddingtang. Find him. Right? Find him on Twitter if you have Twitter, and tweet this Shane Claiborne and tweet this video to him. And anybody else, you know, who's you know, folks need to hear it, man. Don't be going in there twisting up my Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make him out to be somebody, you know, creating this idol of him or whatnot, right, aside from who he says he is. Okay, y'all. Thank you. Make sure you visit bronzeserpentmedia.com. Become a member. It's free, right? It's more dependable to catch up with my stuff there than it is on YouTube. YouTube ain't gonna tell you, you know, hardly, right? You might. But at my website, click on that. Become a member, free, and while you're there, you know, drop that buck, because you know we're not in a recession or anything like that, so I know y'all got money. Make sure you come on over and drop a buck in the bucket. Help us keep the lights on, right? Because you want the truth. You got to show that you value the truth, right? All these other heathens and these liars out there, they be getting money, getting that money to push a message of mendacity, right? That stuff is making money. How about supporting some folks who want to try to tell the truth, right? Biden said that y'all got money, right? You know, I know he's a liar, but you know. All right, y'all. Blessings and good night.